Hi everyone, I thought I'd make a video. A dear soul sister of mine just reminded me of something that was important, and I know I've written about twin flames and children before, but I haven't touched on specifics, indigo children, crystal children, and all these things. And I can share my knowledge based upon my own real life example as my truth, and this is something which is probably very vital because we all need to share something that we've learned, especially if we've, let's say, paid a heavy price for speaking what we believe is true, especially in relationships. So, my soul son was living with me in Budapest, and I started to notice certain characteristics within him that raised my awareness. The first thing I noticed was a speech impediment when he was speaking his own language, Russian. And the second thing that I had a concern about was his attention span, his whole demeanor, and I believed it was the signs of ADHD. So I did carry this feeling within me for some time because I had to be conscious of how I would explain this to his mother, to my beloved. But in the end, the first thing came out was I believe that Ilya has a speech impediment. And of course, the immediate response was no. And then I had to justify what I said. And it got to the point where I suggested maybe that he sees a speech therapist so that the speech therapist gives us the professional opinion. And this was obviously, looking back at it now, I maybe could have been a little bit more subtle. But with the wisdom I have now, I know certain things that I didn't know then. So we learn. So in the end, it was agreed that he would speak with a speech therapist via Skype, who too was also Russian, luckily living in London. And they had a conversation. And yes, it was professionally noted that he had an issue with the tag under the tongue, and they would try some exercises and a decent program to exercise the tongue because he had an issue with rolling his R's. He couldn't. So he began a course of therapy, speech therapy, and after the speech therapy, everything was fine. He was perfect and so happy and grateful. But the other curveball that I threw into the works around about the same time were my beliefs that he was suffering from ADHD. And I made it my business to speak with... I'm moving the camera because I'm doing this differently, but I had to speak to my beloved, and I said that I would write to the school to explain my own point of view, what I believed, what I was noticing, and to get some guidance from the school because they had school children's psychologists there. So the whole dialogue went to the headmaster. The headmaster emailed me and said yes, he can, for me to come and see the psychologist. Which I did. I explained everything that I believed that it was ADHD based upon what I had been taught. And anyway, went through a series of things, and in the end, the school psychologists ruled out ADHD, and then in one way spun the whole story back to me. And then we started to talk about my childhood. And at that time, I was going through some serious trauma in my life. My children were leaving for Australia. My business was suffering. I'd just driven 500 kilometers to this appointment. And many other things were going on. So my vibes were pretty low. And whilst I knew the intention at the time was for the highest good, to help someone, because I'm not qualified to give that help to a child, particularly if they're suffering from ADHD. I just wanted to have some professional knowledge about what I was seeing and what I was feeling, not to push it back onto me about my childhood. So when it came back to me, I told them that I didn't come here to be analysed myself. I have my own psychologist for that. I came here in good faith about my son and my genuine concerns. And then they tried to prod into my childhood. And in the end, I ended up leaving the meeting. I stood up and I said, with greatest respect, I need to leave this meeting. And I left. And I respected their decision about it not being ADHD, which is a good thing. But obviously there was some other issues going on. And I today understand that any parent is going to become defensive about their own child, particularly a single parent. I'm a single parent. I know how defensive I have been about towards my children, and been proven wrong many times. So I have no problem being proven wrong if the intention is genuine and for the highest good. This caused friction. And this immediately caused tensions in our relationship, not only between me and my son, but also between me and my partner. And on top of that, there was this other issue with my children leaving, and we're preparing for that also, plus summer holidays coming up. It was just a big pile of stuff going on, bubbling away, festering away. And I was working in a different country. So I was traveling Monday and coming back Friday. So I was always traveling, and I was always miserable, etc., etc., etc. So what I realized today is that this young boy, my son, soul son, is in fact a very special child, a rainbow child, an indigo child, a crystal child, whatever child. It's a very special child. He doesn't have ADHD, but he has all of those characteristics of ADHD. And from a spiritual perspective, that leads us to one of these special children. And during my recent realization is those children today that are diagnosed with ADHD are prescribed a drug that's being developed by the corporates to be a medicine. The child will become dependent upon this medicine. They may function better, and they may be able to cope with it, but they're under this constant need for a drug. Now you think about that for a second. Man potentially has created ADHD as an issue because it recognizes the soul aspect of the child. The child doesn't fit into this box of normal children. Therefore, medicine has been developed to harness this energy, but to program it in a certain way. And maybe I'm going a little deep into this now, but I think it's the deep that we need to go. And this may be shattering an illusion about ADHD and defining those special children that we know exist on this planet because we see them, we interact with them. So if this drug will see them through for the next 30 or 40 years, us as a generation, us as parents to these beautiful children who are now awakened and have access to this other information that we didn't have access to before, thanks to the internet, the wonderful thing called the internet. So do you see how this can be the counter? Where there's light, there's darkness. We're the lighthouses now. We're shining on the darkness. The darkness is running away in the shadows. And we can see that with the geopolitical situation going on. Just imagine what we've already got going on here. Those children that are these special children need to learn the new love that we have found as special souls, as advanced souls, as trailblazers, as whatever you want to call us, blue rays, whatever. We now know this information. We've lifted the veil of illusion and we're living in love. These special needs children, special needs in inverted commas, all they need is love and to grow and prosper and using their ingenious minds without being contaminated by electronic jargon and disinformation highway. Imagine that. This is what we have in our hands. This is what we have at our fingertips. So if you have been told that your child is suffering from ADHD, or you believe your child has ADHD, or any of these other dependent disorders that is diagnosed by doctors who have been told how to diagnose this. You see the program unfolding here. Someone's told the doctors what to look for because pharmacy has already found a solution. So here's the definition of who's created the definition of ADHD. Probably not science. The pharmaceuticals. So you see the responsibility that we have to teach those special soul children that are in our lives. And it may not be our own children, because our own children will already be purifying through our clearing and through our healing and through our lifting the veils of illusion. But it's these young ones, the very young ones to teenage years, 14, 15, 16. So you see, I can share this story with you because it's happened to me. I can be a conduit to give you this information so that you too can look within yourself and you too look within the truth of what you believe to be true. And maybe, just maybe, question all of the motives behind any diagnosis. Because there's only one thing that really is going through a doctor's mind when he prescribes that drug, is the kickback. Or maybe he's been told that this is the best thing. And he believes it because of the reputation of the company or the organization. So I misdiagnosed my own son with ADHD. A few months after that, he returned with his mother to Russia. And from that, I've learned so much about the truth. Not only my truth, but the truth in the reality that I've shared with others. And the industries and the people that I've worked with. I can see the truth, and I've always been able to see that truth. I've always been able to spot the lower vibrational energy. I've also been able to touch and see the love energy and invested that love and care and nurturing into those people that I believe are that light and bright light. So there's only one thing that's happening, is a ripple effect. If you know a child, if you have a child and you have this diagnosis, ask within yourself, is it true? Do some research on crystal children, on the indigo children, and maybe you'll see some truth in what I'm bringing to you. I discovered the truth through a painful and traumatic experience, but I'm grateful for that experience, and I know that that energy is within me, because that energy will always be with me. Now it's back. So now I can share this story and hope that it helps somebody not make the misdiagnosis like I did, or better still, to give their child a second chance and come off the medicines and try a natural, more holistic approach. I love you. I thank you. Until the next time. Bye-bye.